Hello, welcome back to the Sports Sermon. I'm Dylan Straggy.
I'm Jason Robbie.
And I'm Dan Majors.
And we are back today to talk about the Jacksonville Jaguars 2017 season preview. So last year, the Jaguars did not have a good year. They finished 3-13, and two of their wins, they barely beat the Colts in London and barely beat the Bears by just 1 point. Blake Bortles threw for 3,900 yards, threw 23 touchdowns, and had 16 interceptions. No running game as T.J. Yeldon and Chris Ivory were both not great, and the defense wasn't looking too hot either. So, let's talk about this year now. The depth chart for the offense. Jason, what do you see on the offensive side?
All right, so you mentioned the quarterback play. They are led by Blake Bortles, and they've got the backup of Chad Henne. He's back in Jacksonville for his 17th time, I swear. He keeps going from, Jacksonville to a different team and back to Jacksonville.
He just likes Florida, apparently.
Yeah, so he is going to Jacksonville. So those two are the quarterbacks there. Running back-wise, they've got one of my favorite players out of this year's draft in Leonard Fournette. Also, you talked about T.J. Yeldon and Chris Ivory, a good three-headed monster there. Receiver, you got Allen Robinson, Allen Hurns, Rashad Green, Marquise Lee, and Amba Edetawo, a rookie they just drafted. Tight end, Mercedes Lewis, Michael Rivera out of Oakland, and then Ben Koyak. Offensive line, they are led by Brandon Albert and Jeremy Parnell. So looking at the offense, I love the running back spot. That was really their big gap on offense was Bortles not turning the ball over and no running game, which led to more turnovers. So I think Fournette's going to have a monster year this year, which will let some of the pressure off Bortles. I think Bortles steps his game up. I think that there are good things to come from this Jaguars offense.
I mean, what do you think about the receiving weapons? So Allen Robinson and Allen Hurns both had down years last year, and Mercedes Lewis is getting kind of old.
I mean, I think that you've got Allen Robinson, who's a top 6, top 7 receiver in the league. Allen Hurns is a good 2. And then Rashad Green and Marquise Lee are good slot guys who've got that speed. I mean, a lot of the things with Bortles is the turnovers. I get that he's making bad decisions, but it's because he's having to because he had no running game before. And that's going to take a lot of pressure off, I think.
All right, let's move into the defense now. The defensive line for the Jags is led by Dante Fowler in his second year, Malik Jackson, a free agent signing last year in his second year with the Jags, and new free agent signing Calais Campbell, a very solid defensive line. At linebackers, they got Telvin Smith coming back at a great year last year. Miles Jack, he didn't get to play last year, but comes in this year. He'll be very solid, I think. He was great in college, but did have the injury concerns that kept him out last year. And Paul Posluszny, who's been there forever, still a solid middle linebacker, even though he's getting kind of old. At cornerbacks, led by Jalen Ramsey and new free agent signing, A.J. Bouye from the Texans. Two very solid cornerbacks. Not much else after that, though. And at safety, Barry Church and Tashawn Gibson. So a lot of talent on this defensive side for the Jags. We'll just have to see if they can put it all together. They had some good signings last year, but weren't able to do that. We'll see if they do this year. Now let's throw it over to Dan, our special teams expert.
Yes, well, the Jaguars will start with Brad Nortman at punter. Second year with the Jags, 6th year in the league. Jason Myers will be doing the kicking duties. He is 53 for 64 on his career. Marquise Lee will be returning punts, and the speedster Corey Grant will be returning kicks.
All right, so enough for the Jags roster. Let's go into the schedule. We're going to go game by game and predict a win or loss for the Jaguars in every single week and see what records we come up with at the end. So in week 1, the Jags start off by traveling to Houston to play the Texans. Dan, who do you have coming out on top in week 1?
I have the Jaguars winning this game. I don't think it'll be I think it will be tough for Deshaun Watson and the Texans.
Yeah, I also have the Jaguars winning. I like him week 1, getting an early win. Watson's not ready to play yet.
I have a win for the Texans in this one. I think it is at the Texans, and I think Deshaun Watson will have a decent first outing. The Jags defense, not a lot of chemistry, as a lot of them have never played together.
Do you think Watson's going to be able to be ready to go in week 1 and win?
I mean, he might not be starting week 1, though.
Who's going to? Tom Savage is better than the Jacksonville defense?
Yeah, but, I mean, the Jacksonville offense against that solid Texans defense?
I like Jacksonville's offense. I think, they lost A.J. Bouye to the Jaguars. Now they have a depleting cornerback spot. I think Bortles can throw all over him.
All right. Well, in week 2, they are back home to play the Tennessee Titans. Dan, who do you think comes up on top of that one?
I have the Jaguars win here again. I think they will need to split the series with the Titans if they want to make the playoffs.
Yeah, I also have them splitting. I think they get a loss here, but they will get their revenge later.
I have a loss for the Jags. Also here, I think the Titans go on the road, a much better team, and get the win. In week 3, the Jags are home again to play the Baltimore Ravens. Dan, who comes out on top of that one?
I have the Jags in this one. I think it might have been closer if it was on the road, but yeah, Jags.
Yeah, I have got the Jags here in week 3 over the Ravens. Like I said, I'm a really big fan of the Jags this year.
I'm not a big fan of the Jags, but the Ravens are even worse to me. It is at home for the Jags, so I give a win to Jacksonville here. Dan, in week 4, the Jags travel to New York to play one of the worst teams in the league, the Jets. Who wins that one?
Definitely the Jaguars here.
Yeah, I don't know. I don't think it's going to be close. I think the Jaguars get an easy win.
Yeah, I don't think the Jets get more than 2 or 3 wins this year. Jaguars go on the road and get it done. In week 5, they are on the road again to play the Pittsburgh Steelers, one of the best teams in the league and one of the best offenses. Dan, who wins that one?
This will be a very tough game for Jacksonville, especially on the road. I've got the Steelers in this one.
Yeah, I also have the Steelers. I think the Jaguars' defense struggles, and I don't think it'll be close.
Yeah, too much for the Jags defense with a 3-headed monster of Big Ben, Le'Veon Bell, and Antonio Brown. In week 6, the Jags are back home to play the Los Angeles Rams. Dan, who wins that?
Rams are not that great of a team this year. I've got Jacksonville.
Yeah, I also have Jacksonville. I think Goff's going to struggle with no real offensive weapons at wide receiver, and so I think Jacksonville wins.
I don't hate the Rams this year, but it is a home game for the Jags. I do think they're the better team, so they get the win in week 6. And week 7, they travel to Indy to play the Colts. Dan, who wins that?
I'm not high on the Colts this year, and I think the Jags will win this game. I think they will split with the Colts.
Yeah, I think that Dylan, you're a lot higher on the Colts than I am. I think the Jags sweep the Colts this year, and so the Jags get the win.
The Jags do not sweep the Colts by any stretch of the imagination, and I see the Colts get the win at the Colts in week 7. After week 7, the Jags take their first of 3 bye weeks and then go on the road to play, or are back home, to play the Bengals. Dan, who wins that?
I've actually got the Bengals in this one. I think they're the better team. They might not have a great year, but I've got the Bengals.
I got the Jags winning this one. I think the Jags coming off a bye week. Coach is going to get them ready.
I'm going to take the Bengals in this one. A better team, more experienced, and get the win on the road. In week 9, the Jags are home again to play the Los Angeles Chargers. Dan, who wins that?
I got the Chargers in this one. I think it'll be an upset here. Chargers in this one.
I also have the Chargers. I think that they're going to surprise some people this year. I like what they're doing in Los Angeles. There's something I wouldn't think I'd say. The Los Angeles Chargers. Wow.
Yeah.
Still sounds weird.
Yeah. The Rams, too.
Yeah. I mean, the Rams, I guess, because it's been a year, but the Chargers just sound so weird to me.
Yeah. Well, this year, I'm about even on the Chargers and the Jags, so I'm going to give the Jags the upper hand because they are at home. In week 10, the Jags take their second of 3 bye weeks as they travel to play the Browns. Dan, who comes out on top there?
Not close. Jags.
Yeah, I also agree. It's like a bye week.
Yep, that makes 3 of us. No reason the Jags should be losing that. In week 11, the Jags go on the road again to Arizona to play the Cardinals, a possible bounce-back year for them. Dan, who do you think wins that one?
Yeah, I like the Cardinals this year. I think they will definitely get it done at home.
Yeah, I agree. I think Palmer and Fitzgerald are too much to handle, and I think the Jags don't get it done.
Yeah, at Arizona, I don't like the Jags. A young team in a road game against a really solid veteran team. In week 12, the Jags are home to play the Colts in their second matchup of the year. Dan, who wins that?
Like I said earlier, I think the Jags will split with the Colts, and I think they will have to.
Yeah, like I said earlier, they're going to sweep them, and so I think that it's going to be a win for the Jags.
I have a loss for the Jags here. I do like the Colts this year, and I think they get the sweep over the Jags. In Week 13, the Jags are home again to play the Seattle Seahawks, one of the best defenses in the league, going on the road. Dan, who wins that?
I've got the Seahawks here. Defense will be way too much for Bortles.
I've got a loss for the Jaguars as well. I like the Seahawks D this year.
Yeah, the Seahawks defense is just going to do way too much to confuse Bortles all day long. He'll throw 2 or 3 picks, and the Seahawks get the win. In Week 14, they're home for their 3rd straight week to play the Houston Texans. Dan, who wins that?
I'm not high on Houston this year, and I've got a win for the Jags.
I agree. Dubs for the Jags.
Yep, a home game. I think they split with Houston and get the win at home. In Week 15, finally the third of the Jags' 3 bye weeks, traveling to San Francisco to play the Niners. Who wins that one?
Definitely the Jags in this one, not close.
Yeah, it's a blowout.
Yep, third of 3 bye weeks. Like I said, on the road. Even though it's on the road, the 49ers are just terrible. In Week 16, the final week, they travel to play the Titans. Dan, who wins that?
This will be a close game, but I think Bortles will get it done.
Yeah, I think that Bortles gets it done, and that's what wins them the AFC South. Because I've got the Jags at 11-5.
I have the Jags at 7-9 because I do think they lose this game to the Titans. I like the Titans this year, and I'm just not a fan of the Jags.
Dan, what do you have, Matt?
11-5.
There we go. 2
Man.
11-5s. I'm telling you, the Jags are going to be good, Dylan.
I don't
Big bounce
think
back
finished 3-13
I
last year. You
understand,
can't just say
but
that
they
they're going to
had a
win
great
8 more
offseason.
games.
And everybody
And they had a
was
great
high on
off
last
season
year.
last year too.
But they didn't get Calais Campbell, who is a stud defender. They didn't get a cornerback in A.J. Boye. They didn't get one of every position on defense.
I mean,
and
they had
get,
Prince Amukamara that they
Fournette.
signed last season. They got Malik Jackson last season. I
Okay.
mean, what'd they do?
Did they get a guy like Leonard Fournette? That's what I
I
think
mean,
the
they
biggest
got Chris Ivory, who did a great year the year before.
That's
T.J.
not the
Yeldon
same
was
as
T.J. Yeldon took a step backwards last
that's
year.
not the same as Leonard Fournette. Leonard Fournette is going to ball out and take some pressure off Bortles and let him be able to play. Going to give the defense more rest, and these guys are going to be ready to play. I'm telling you.
I
Watch
mean,
out.
you can't just tell me that Blake Bortles is somehow going to magically give the
What was
Jags
the stats last
8
year?
more
You had
wins. 3,900 yards, 23 touchdowns, and 16 interceptions.
I think he has 30 and 12, 30 touchdowns, 12 picks.
But that's not enough to give them 11 wins.
Look at their schedule.
Yeah, schedule's
And that is
Yeah,
all
I
being
mean,
on the schedule.
You said 3 bye weeks. I'd say 4 with the
Yeah,
Jets.
yeah.
But I mean those 3. But besides that, I mean they're not a better team than the
They're
Bengals
at
or the
least going to
Chargers,
split. They're
teams
going
like
to at
that.
least, like if the worst season comes, they'll split with the Texans and the Colts. At least.
I don't know. I have them 1-5 in the division.
How?
Yeah, I don't see
That's
that.
just, I don't see
The
that. at all.
Titans and the Colts.
I think the Titans could sweep them. I think they'll split because I'm optimistic. I can see the Titans sweeping. I think they easily split, if not sweep the Colts, and they
Yes.
easily split, if not sweep the Texans.
Yes.
I just don't see it. I mean, on paper, obviously they look great. Their defense is great. A lot of talent. But Miles Jack has never played an NFL game before. Dante Fowler had a decent year last year, but he's only a rookie. You don't know how he's going to pan out. Malik Jackson didn't do much for the Jaguars. Their free agent signing last year. A.J. Bouye's only had 1 good year in the NFL, and he's switching teams now. I mean, you can't just tell me that those guys are all going to magically come in, gel together in 1 year, and give the Jags 8 more wins.
I mean, you can't look at the schedule. I think it really comes down to schedule. Like, I don't know. Like, it's just, you look
I
at
mean, that's what I think for the Colts, though, and you just hate the Colts for some
They
reason.
didn't get a top
Yeah,
5
they-
defensive end, a top 10 cornerback last year,
But
and
they
the
weren't
best running back in the
3-13
class.
last year.
Yes, but they didn't get the best running back in the class and a 2 top 10 defensive players at their position. They got okay at every position and Malik Hooker. I'll give him the Hooker's going to be a stud, I think. They got okay with Jonathan Hankins. They got okay with...
But they don't have to get 8 more wins. They still got better.
But
But
what did
they
they do
don't-
offensively? Nothing.
I mean, T.Y.
Yeah.
Hilton's led the league in receiving yards last
But
year.
you don't
Dante
have
Moncrief's
somebody-
on a contract year.
Uh,
Frank Gore's still solid, and they got another guy in Marlon Mack.
You ranked Frank Gore the 5th best. You ranked Frank Gore worse than a backup lot.
But I mean, Derrick Henry's one of the best backups in the NFL.
That's fine.
And
it's
they
not
have,
like Gore won't. I don't think Gore's going to play well. Gore will be okay, and I think Luck's going to have a year similar to Bortles, where he's going to have a lot of turnovers because
that's what he has the past 2 years, and the offensive line's a lot better now.
It's not. I'm telling you, the Jags are finally putting it together. And speaking of that, my headline is kind of going away from this debate. Is this time it's for real? It's kept looking like it's going to be good. It never really worked out. This time it's coming together. They're winning it.
My headline is Mo Money, Mo Problems. The Jags handed out more money in free agency this year, and you know what happens when you hand out big money in free agency. It does not always work out, as you saw with the Colts, who we just talked about a couple years ago when they made big splashy signings like Andre Johnson, Kendall Langford, guys like that who didn't really work out for the Colts.
My headline is playoffs or bust. I had the same exact thing for the Titans. There will be a close race between them. Neither team will do anything in the playoffs, but winning the division should be the goal.
Yeah, I agree. Dylan, what's our top 5?
Our top 5 today is going to be our top 5 favorite off-season signings for the NFL, or just kind of moves in general. Doesn't have to be a signing. So let's start off with Dan. Who do you have at your number 5 off-season move?
At 5, I have Andrew Whitworth to the Rams. I think that's huge for them. Bengals really going to miss him this year. Rams actually could do something on offense, maybe. I mean, they're not a great offensive team, but this could definitely help them.
My number 5, I went with the guy we just talked about, A.J. Boye, coming over, helping Ramsey in Jacksonville. He's going to solidify that defense and make guys really have to beat him outside.
My number 5 is going to be Myles Garrett getting drafted by the Browns. They didn't give in to the temptation of getting a quarterback in Mitchell Trubisky and made the right decision to get the best player available.
I have what Jason said at 5. I have A.J. Boye to the Jags at 4. Like I said before, this is a bounce back year for the Jags.
Yeah, all right. At my number 4, I have got Beast Mode coming to the Raiders and coming home. I think Marshawn, a big signing. It's going to give Derek Carr some pocket prep. Going to give him some time in the pocket, even more than he already has. Going to have to really defend that running game. The Raiders are going to be scary this year, and I'm excited.
I also have at number 4, like Dan said, A.J. Bouye to the Jags. Although I don't think it works out great because A.J. Bouye has only had one good year in the NFL. I think that the Jags really filled a need and give somebody for Jalen Ramsey to play alongside at the cornerback position.
At 3, I have Martellus Bennett to the Packers. This is very scary for other teams as Aaron Rodgers has another great weapon.
At number 3, I went the Bucks getting Deshaun Jackson. It really puts the Bucks, I think, in the playoff conversation. You've got a great quarterback in Jameis Winston. Now you've got top 5 receiver Mike Evans to pair along with a speedster Deshaun Jackson, and they drafted O.J. Howard. The Bucks offense is looking great, and it all started with that Deshaun Jackson.
My number 3 move is going to be not a player signing, but the Colts getting rid of Ryan Grigson and getting new GM Chris Ballard. He was great, and the Colts had one of the best off seasons in the NFL this year, and finally got rid of Ryan Grigson, who was just absolutely terrible for the Colts.
2, I have Deshaun Jackson to the Bucks with what Jason said. 2 great receivers for Winston to throw to.
Number 2, I went Brandon Marshall to the Giants. I think that's a scary team to give the ball to in the red zone. If you look down there and Eli Manning's got OBJ and Brandon Marshall to throw to and Larry Donnell, I'm just going to maybe give up now and give them the free 6 points because you're not stopping that team if they get in the red zone.
My number 2 is going to be Brandon Cooks to the Patriots. But kind of in general, I just liked all their moves, trading their draft picks for established veterans.
That's your
like
2?
Cody Ealy. Yeah,
Wow.
I like the move for the Patriots, and they really got to make the most out of these last years for Tom Brady.
I have Alshon Jeffrey to the Eagles at 1. I think this is a great weapon for Wentz to throw to, and it changes their offense.
Number 1, I had Dylan. You're number 2. I'm surprised you had it number 2. I don't know what's going to be ahead of it. I got Brandon Cooks to the Patriots. I think that's going to put the Patriots repeating Super Bowl contenders because now that offense is just incredibly good.
I have your number 2 and Brandon Marshall to the Giants.
Wow.
The Giants had one of the best defenses in the NFL last year, but really needed another weapon to go alongside OBJ, a red zone target, as they don't really have any big guys right now to catch the ball. So I like the move for the Giants, and I think that puts them in the Super Bowl conversation in the NFC.
All right, so what's coming up for the sports sermon? We've got free agency stuff all coming out for you. We're going to try, I don't know if this will be possible, but we're going to try to go every day at their stuff. We're going to try to put something out. It's some going to be over the phone, some going to be in person, but every day of free agency, big moves, we'll have it all covered here on the sports sermon.
Yeah, we'll keep you updated with the news as
And
fast
some summer league stuff.
Yeah,
We have to add that. We'll have probably like an Orlando summer league recap, and a Utah summer league recap, and then maybe like a regular season Las Vegas and a playoff, something like that. We'll have some summer league stuff for you. So really, lots of good stuff. Sorry to cut you off.
Yeah, a lot about the NBA. A lot of big things will be happening in free agency. We already saw the Chris Paul trade, all that crazy stuff that's been happening in the NBA. I'm sure there'll be a lot more of it. So we'll have that coming up. And if you enjoyed this video, make sure you hit that like button. And if you want to see the rest of our NFL season previews, and like Jason said, our free agency and NBA content, hit that subscribe button. And if you want to get notified every time we post a new video or a new article, make sure you follow us on Twitter. The link is in the description, and we will post on there every time we post a new video or a new article. So thank you guys for listening, and we will see you tomorrow.